Peace, light, and love. YouTube, know what it is. I'm back to do another reading for the collective of chosen ones. All those who are drawn to this channel, who are in alignment with the energy. So I do include myself in the collective. So let's see what the message is for us. Simple message of what do we need to hear? What would be helpful for us to hear right now? So I'm already getting messages about our dreams, our aspirations, and the journeys that it's requiring, and how for a lot of us, we've learned that it's not the plan that we've made for ourselves that gets us to our achievement of our goals. It's not our plan, it's God's plan. So that's a big message. We've heard it time and time again. So just kind of confirmation that it's not it's not our plan, it's God's plan. So let's trust God, and we can plan as much as we want, and we can come up with some pretty good plans, right? Like we can, somebody ask us, about our goals and how we're going to get there. We can come up with some good answers. We done made some good plans, but does it work that way? In a general sense, we have the themes, we have some accuracy in it. However, it is, it's a lot of times God has his way that unfolds for us. And I can tell you from my own personal experience, shoot, I tell people I can plan. You can ask me what I'm going to do and how I'm gonna do it. I give you a pretty good answer, but I promise you, it's not going to look like that. Because it's all, God always has his grand master plan, and it goes his way, not my way. You know what I'm saying? Not my way. So I'm going for 3 cards, but we are, put this one back in there. So yeah, I think a message of inspiration, encouragement is needed. Be confident in your swag, be confident in yourself. And that's a message also, and I'm getting a lot of thoughts really fast here, for us to accept ourselves as we are. I know a lot of us, we have goals, we want to improve ourselves, right? We always want to be getting better. We're always asking ourselves, what can I do to improve my life, improve my conditions, And really the message is we have to accept ourselves. The man you are right now, is the man that you need to be. You're well on your way, just where you're supposed to be. 222, you know what I'm saying? 222 is just on the clock too. And the woman you are, you are where, God has for you to be in your journey right now. Yes, we have our ideal selves, and we have the goals that we want for ourselves. And we're going to get there, Interesting. Okay. Wow. Very interesting. So back of the deck energy is DNA upgrade. Shout out to Maji. Got the T. I'm using her deck. The Chosen Ones 144 Oracle deck made by Maji. Got the T. Check her out on YouTube if you don't already know Maji. So hidden secrets, dream messages, and starseed. Hidden secrets, dream messages, and starseed. So I'm just going to go what comes here. So hidden secrets. One thing that's really kind of popping out with this is those who envy us, those who are negative towards us, they actually are secretly, they admire us. So I know a lot of the times for us as chosen ones, and come on, you know this, so often you go about your day and there are people who are negative towards you. And I really don't experience jealousy like that. That's one thing that I sometimes, even as an empath, I really have to think about how people feel jealous. Because, first of all, I think it's such a disgusting emotion. I really don't like it, that a lot of times people, they're jealous of us and envy us, and so they're really mean to us. 4 o'clock. I tell you, the chosen one, people can be so not good towards us, right? And a lot of times in that secretly is the fact that they admire us. They want to be in our flesh. They want to be able to do the things that they feel like we can do. And a lot of times they know absolutely nothing about us. And they want to think that, things come very easy for us. They want to think that, maybe somebody gave us something or whatever, or, but they don't understand the work that went behind everything. And yes, we are favored. We are blessed, and thank God, because this world is a very tough, challenging, unfair world. So, and I can admit that a lot of times, in a lot of ways, Many of us, we have unfair leverage. I just made a video on this. We have unfair advantages as chosen ones. Maybe, you're super talented somehow. Maybe you have, a phenomenal level of creativity. You're super intelligent. You're super athletic. Or, you have these things about you. You're a great people person, great charisma or something, great with math or something. There's something about you, many things about you, where you have a leverage over others. And for one message that's coming through is we have to take advantage of these leverages that we have. A lot of times when we pull up, we don't pull up to compete with other people. That's like not on our agenda. And I tell you that, many of us, we can become quite jaded in this world because people seek to compete with us so much that I could definitely say for myself that, it's kind of caused me to kind of be like, you know what, if you're going to compete with me, you know what I'm saying, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Let me show you that I can sit you down, to the best of my ability, man. And I say that, and it's not, I say that, I'm sitting here doing this video in the comfort of my space. But, that's not so, it's not a comfortable thing. We get into these environments, especially when, maybe you're around a bunch of men, if you're a man, and then, they want to make you feel intimidated. They want to, humble you, take you down a few levels, want to try to be the alpha male or what have you, and these things where it's truly not that place to try to achieve, but a lot of times when people are doing this, they actually secretly admire something about us. They wish they had something that they feel like we have. Hidden secrets. Dream messages. Now, I'll tell you, this is an interesting card to come out because I recently, I've always been one, and many of us are clairvoyant. We have dreams of the past, the future, and we see things about people's truth. We see what other people are doing. How many of us have had a dream and we watching somebody's life that we know? Have you ever had a cheating ex and you went to sleep and saw them, doing shit? Or you something's going to happen maybe while you're traveling and you see it beforehand, or there's just these things, maybe you have your people in your life that show up in your dreams and you realize that was quite an unpleasant dream. So you kind of cautious about there being some type of negative event coming up. So dream journal is one thing that I really advocate for. Also, maybe play some 432 hertz or some of the peaceful manifestation, meditation hertz frequency music to kind of help cleanse your space and keep you safe. Pray over yourself before you go to bed because a lot of times we do experience attacks in our sleep. So you want to stay prayed up. Take your spiritual bath. A spiritual bath can simply be taking some sea salt, not your regular like processed salt, like sea salt, and put it in some water, taking a bath, sitting in it 10, 20, 30 minutes. You can add other stuff, different herbs, green herbs and roses and almond milk and things like that people put in there. Google it, spiritual bath. Even myself, I need to make sure I give me one of those in pretty soon. And not just here and there. We got to do it on a regular basis. That's one thing that maybe we're getting messages about. I'm not going to make this a long video because many people don't really watch videos past 10 minutes. So I'm like, hey, I'm pretty busy anyways. No need to make a video over 10 minutes. Not to be lazy or whatever, but, Starseed, Starseed. And one thing that's coming to mind, is how in our journeys to achieve what is truly ours, like we know that we are stars. We know that many of us know that we're destined to have stardom. We are to live in stardom. And many people may not believe this, and this might seem like a delusional belief to many people. Like to many people who I tell them that, hey, I know that God has told me, God has revealed to me time and time again that there's some really big purpose for me that involves stardom. And I'm not a person who's attention seeking. I really, like, to be honest with you, I do not like humans. I mean, and it's something very deep to my soul, and my truth. I do not like being around people. You know, humans, it really amazes me that God loves humans. I think God is so amazing for being able to love humans. Um, and I'm into my 30s now, and this is where I've come to be. Many of us like this. I used to say I don't like humans, but I love humans. I don't like them, but I love them. I can't even really say that as like I used to say it. Do I love humans? I don't know. I really do not like humans. I do not, people, they treat you bad for no reason. They treat you bad, not for no reason. They treat you bad because you're doing something right. You're doing the right things in your life, people treat you bad. You're handsome, people treat you bad. You're smart, people treat you bad. You worked hard and achieved something financially, they treat you bad. 111 on the clock. You're not messing with anybody. So they mess with you because you're not messing with anybody. They want to be better than you. They want to, all these things that humans do. And it's like every day you can't get away from it, So yeah, and maybe we have that in common. And if we do, I really pray that God blesses us to find peace in that, because it is a really tough thing, I would say, for me, where I find myself in, where I really do not like people. That's from it makes it tough. It makes it tough. God be with us. Shine your light, and for a lot of us, another message that's coming through is what got us here in this time of our lives right now is not what is going to get us to where we're going and achieving our dreams and being the stars that we know we are. Maybe your stardom is, you're a culinary artist, a culinary professional. You're a great cook. You bake great cakes and stuff. Or maybe, yours is, you make things with your hands in an amazing way, or, you can touch people, reach people with, whatever it is that is your gift. And God is saying big time to a lot of us is that we have to walk in that. We have to take this time, and it's so hard to really believe it sometimes, and to really make those life changes, to put ourselves out there and to do the work. But God is saying, keep going. Yes, it's going to take a life change, and yes, things are obscure, and yes, you feel yourself having to morph into somebody else, and you don't know how to quite handle it. But go for it. God has got us, right where we're supposed to be. So I really want to encourage you, know that this is a time where we are upgrading. Our DNA is upgrading. Maybe you're sleeping a lot. I've found in my life that when I have found myself like sleeping like nobody's business, that there was a huge change happening for me. My spirit was doing things, and I was changing in who I am, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And I found myself like sleeping like big time. And when I wake up, I kind of even always, it's little increments, I feel a little bit different. Each time I've been feeling, we're going to sleep, these deep, long sleeps. So sometimes you're not comfortable. Sometimes I don't like to sleep, the rest. But I've been kind of really in this rest, in this sleep. And wake up feeling a little bit different. Like my mind is a little bit different than it was when I went to bed. So maybe we were experiencing that. And this is a time where we are evolving. We're shifting. We're no longer who we used to be. Also, watch out for people coming from the past who are only coming because we have shifted. People who thought that we would never leave them alone. People who thought that they could always use and abuse us, or that they had us so wrapped around that finger that they could do whatever they wanted or whoever they wanted or whatever, what I'm saying, and that we would be there waiting for them. And I'm like, silly rabbit, use a stupid bitch to think. What I'm saying? They really thought that they could use and abuse us, play us, like an NFL playbook. And then we'd come back and we're going to be the water boy. What I'm saying? So, make sure to give them those deuces. Do our cord cutting. Do what we got to do to protect ourselves. Do your return to sender candles. Or whatever you do for return to sender, magic, spiritual practices. And, you know, let's keep on going and keep on keeping on. Until next time, I'm your man. Please like and subscribe. Please, you know, support the channel, get some feedback. And, yeah, you are appreciated.